So move.
We've got a motion. Can we get a second?
Second.
Got a second. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Minutes pass unanimously. Belinda, the January minutes, I appreciate you putting out what discussion we did have. We did not do any business, so there's no need or requirement to read and approve those. But you can see what we did discuss. We'll just leave those in the record in the event anyone needs them in the future. Okay, let's move on. Our budget review. Do we have budget info in front of us?
We do not. It was the 12-month. Yes, first 1 month ended financial, so they're not ready yet.
Okay. Is there a particular reason for delay there, or do we know?
I do not know. I just know, well, I say that, they're still trying to get all the 12-month ended stuff finalized out. He said that they will be soon to come, probably next week.
They've been up to their eyeballs, Councilmember Lilly, trying to implement the new timekeeping system and all that stuff, so students in on the 21st.
Sure, okay. No, I appreciate that. I've just taken a note. I have a hard time writing and doing something else at the same time, so, forgive me. I would just ask then, Brian, anything of concern from your perspective that we need to be aware of or taking any action on from a financial view? Okay, good deal, good deal. All right, we'll move on. I do believe everyone got in their email Brian's superintendent's report. Belinda, thank you for sending that out and sharing that with us. Anybody have questions, thoughts, concerns there? Okay. We'll move on then. Street updates. We've also got those in front of you. Lon, are you going to walk us through where we are on those projects? Do you mind, sir?
I do not mind. Jacksonville Cato project phase 1 is going excellent. Tomorrow they're going to block off one lane of the road at the bridge so they can pour the top to the box. We've had a lot of rain over there lately, so things have been kind of delayed for the last 2 weeks with the ice and the rain. But phase 1 is going pretty good. Things are moving right along. Phase 2, we started acquisitions. We have negotiated some things with some tenants. We've got like 25 different acquisitions to do. 3 of those are property buyouts, 2 houses and 1 lot. So Robert's working on that pretty good. Sherwood drainage, Tracy's working on some grants right now for that, and we'll get started with that if we get a grant, I guess.
One of the buyouts will be coming before the council.
Yes.
This month.
Okay. Yeah, I would just, for everyone here, I got an email the other day that just said, hey, lane closure, road closure, from our website and the announcements and stuff that we do. So if you guys are interested in that, it's working and it's great. You get, I got an email and then it, allowed me to go on and look and see, the specific details, et cetera. Would encourage anybody that's interested to use that. It's very helpful.
We also sent that to the Pulaski County School District for the transportation and the principal of the school.
Okay. Okay, gotcha. All right, so, yeah, it looks like I got off track here just a little bit, but while, I do appreciate that update, but while we are right there, and I'll go back to number 6 in a minute, I'm sorry. Where are we with our bond money and getting our next, I mean, I know the big thing right there in front of us is Brockington Keel, that whole access and all that, but where do we stand with all of that? Yeah, sure, would love to have you. Come on up, Mayor.
That way y'all can hear me. The contract with RDOT from our end was signed last year. They've been working on right-of-way acquisition. They kind of started that in '23, but the whole project was slated for '24. They've not notified us as to, first they've got to do all the right-of-way negotiations, so forth, before they actually start construction. And then in terms of, overall bond, of course, with Phase 1, we really have not been receiving much in the way of bills yet. So the last I checked, we still were not completely through the first tranche of the bond money. But remember, we had to go ahead and do, because we had a time crunch that we had to, under, the bond rules. So the second has just been put, some in CDs and things like that while we wait until it's needed, so.
So when do we have any expectation that we're gonna know
The final.
what we're doing at Brockington Keel and that, and what the cost is gonna be?
Okay, so our cost is $2 million.
Okay,
And that went through the council last year. So and with RDOT expected to spend $8 million. It was a $10 million project.
okay, so then funds that we have from the second, round of bonds, for street improvements, how much do we have in that, and are we looking at our next round of projects that we have wanted to start in the city?
Well, we need to see where we finish up with Phase 2 of Jacksonville-Cato, because that hasn't been bid out yet, so we really don't know. Like, I don't think we should put another project on the plate that's beyond Brockington and Jacksonville-Cato until we know that where we are financially with that, because we don't have the estimates yet. We have not bid out Phase 2.
Okay, so, I mean, I guess, my thought is that, that was another $16 million worth of bonds, is that right, 16 or 18 million? Because we had 38 million total, and that was
Yeah.
broken into 2 rounds. We had 22, the first round of bonds, which left us, I guess, the
Right.
16 for the second. So,
If you would like, for the next meeting, I can have Colleen pull together some financials as to where we are, what's left, and, so that way you guys can see, exactly what it looks like, so I'm not, trying to speculate on it.
no, that would be great.
Would that be helpful?
Yeah, that'd be very helpful.
Okay.
I just want to make sure that we do get our money spent. We do want to spend them as wisely and as efficiently as possible.
Yes, and there are a couple of things that are unknown. So we recently received a $57,000 bill from Garver for that reporting contract that had been initiated. And so I had a meeting with Garver over that because the only one who had access to it was Richard Penn, and we thought that the city wasn't happy with what we were getting, and so therefore it had been stopped. and it hadn't, and nothing had ever been paid in '22 before I came into office. And all of a sudden, I got this $57,000 bill, and so Lon and I and Finley met with Garver over that, so knowing that they knew that Richard Penn had left, and we had, you know, we're paying for a year when we couldn't even see the information.
Yeah.
So that is still being negotiated out with Garver on that, so.
Okay. Well, I mean, yeah, that's 57,000 that I wish we'd have caught on to earlier, but, you know, hey, you get blindsided by stuff, unfortunately.
Yes.
You know, but yeah, I mean, that's not anywhere near the 16 million that was
Oh,
in that
no.
second round of bonds. And so if Brockington Keel, that is gonna cost us 2 million, you know, that tells me, I mean, there's 14 million out there that we need to figure out. And we've also got, you know, a certain given amount of time that we're needing to spend that as well, or we end up in some kind of.
We're not, because that's why we did the taxable bonds versus the non-taxable bonds, for that very reason. So the non-taxable bonds were the first tranche, and those we were under the clock on, and that's why we had to go ahead and do everything we had to go ahead and do. But with the second one, we were advised and council approved to do the non-taxable bonds because A, you're allowed to invest them during the time, the monies, during in the time in which you're not using it, and we don't have the time crunch that fall under the regulations on the non-taxable bonds.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, but, you know, we made a promise to the taxpayers that, you know, that was also gonna sunset once all that was paid off. And if we just continue to drag all that out, then, I mean, that has bad optics to it. So I just wanna make sure we got it in front of us. I mean,
Yeah.
I appreciate the explanation there, and would definitely love to see the breakdown. And then as soon as we can get to a point where we can, you know, get some kind of pricing on phase 2 of Jacksonville-Cato, at that point, we'll kind of know what we've got left to spend. Am I
Right.
understanding that right?
Yes, and just so you know, what we've done with the bonds doesn't affect the sunset. So basically, we're looking at 2025 on that, and we'll have to make a decision whether we take before the taxpayers a rededication or we allow it to sunset. But it's actually because of the way the markets have worked, it's ending up sunsetting faster. Everything's getting paid off faster than what was expected. So I know it all gets to be the bond stuff gets to be pretty complicated, but we'll bring some stuff before you, and so that way, you guys have better numbers.
Okay. Well, I much appreciated. Thank you. Yeah, I'm appreciate that explanation. It's easy to get lost if you're not in it every day, so thank you. Okay, any other questions on our sales tax group of street improvements before we jump back to number 6? Okay, so number 6, typically where we talk about our overlay program. I know, hey, we're early in 23. Do we have any kind of view of what we're gonna be able to get done in 24 and where we're heading, or what's the thought there?
We're currently, working on the list right now, trying to get the project together. The state aid ordinance y'all approved at the last council meeting, we'll be responsible for, I think it was somewhere around 66, or just say $70,000 of that project, if it bids and comes in around the engineer's estimate. So that'll deduct from what's in the street fund for overlay this year, and I was trying to remember what we ended up coming out with, but it'll be somewhere similar to the same size overlay project we had last year, minus, well, it won't be minus anything because the state aid overlay will replace it. We'll actually get more for our dollar because they're gonna be putting close to $300,000 towards the project.
Okay.
I think last year we spent somewhere around 1.3 million, if I recall correctly, on the overlay program.
Okay, so, so we're working on our street list and, when do we normally start? I mean, that's, normally we start that kinda in the late spring timeframe, isn't it?
Usually, last year, I don't think with the storms and all, if I remember right, I don't think I got it out to bid till, May or June, which is much later than I would like it to go out. We're gonna try to shoot for, sometime in March this year, or hopefully we can get it out for bid. And you tend to seem like you get a little better response the earlier you get it out. If you wait till people's wagons are loaded, you just don't seem to get quite the bidders on the projects.
Okay. All right, anything else there before we move on? Shelby, any thoughts or questions?
No.
Ross, any? Okay. Very good. All right, so I'm done skipping around. I'll jump down to the Penwood speed cushions. There was some concern that come up with those a couple of council meetings ago. Last month, we had some discussion about it, but we were waiting on an important piece of information. It's my understanding, and Mayor, if you want to speak to it, you're certainly welcome to, but the lady who there was question about whether she had approved the speed cushion or not. It was her mother that signed it, actually owned the property. The way I'm understanding it is she has responded. She did approve of the speed cushion, and it was perfectly okay for her mother to sign in her absence. Her mother actually owns the house, so it just didn't fit with the policy as we wrote it. But with her approval, they're well within the limits of the policy as far as signatures, and as far as I'm concerned, this is kind of a done issue. Does anybody have any other questions or anything there that we need to address as the street committee?
No, that answers, that was one big thing I was waiting to hear back, if we had the right amount of signatures, and it sounds like we did, so we're in good shape.
Okay, yeah, that one signature, I mean, I guess, with the smaller number of signatures needed for the length of street, one puts you either over the top or under the, under the requirement, so we're solid there, so. Any comments just on speed cushions in general? I mean, anybody, any feedback to the mayor's office or to Public Works about, how they're doing, performance, et cetera?
The only negative comments that I've received on them so far is from the Penwood. All of the others, everything's been positive, with the exception of, a few people that drive through, but it's not the people that live there on those roads that deal with it. It's, it's through traffic that complain.
And so so when they call up the mayor's office, saying, I would like my street evaluated, we then pass them over to Public Works to then start the evaluation process. So that's how it's going along. But they're still coming in. I think we got one 2 days ago or something, right? And so, we pass over, but we haven't had anything, we have no plans right now to place them anywhere else to where it met all the criteria. We're trying to be very careful to make sure things meet the criteria, and when someone calls, we get all their information and
So the process
so
is
forth.
working.
Yes, sir, the process is
Okay.
working.
Okay. So was there just a whole bunch that came in all at once and things are now slowing down from
Yes.
request, or?
Yes.
Okay.
That's exactly.
Kind of how I would have expected it.
If I were to take a guess, we've got a list of everything that we've evaluated and all the reports, and I bet there's 30-plus places we've evaluated at this point in time. And I
Okay.
don't know, I think we probably put them out somewhere around 6 or 8 different places actually met the criteria.
And I know that it was your initiative to get the 2 cameras, and I will say, when I was on council, I thought it was excessive, and thank goodness you did that. It was not, it has really come in handy. So I just want to say thank you for doing that, because it's made our, being able to evaluate these things, the turnaround time's a whole lot faster, and so we're able to give better customer service to our residents.
Well, very good. Yeah, blind squirrel finds an acorn every now and then.
Yep.
Okay, cool. Well, very good. Well, we'll close out the Penwood speed cushion issue, and we'll move that off of our agenda. We'll move into new business. We kind of covered the first one, and then A and B a little earlier, but I would say in front of you, Brian, I believe, is this the list that we had on road activity and stuff, here, several years ago, I guess?
Yes, that was the original list that was created, prior to going out and promoting the bond issue. That was the original projects.
Okay. So, I would just, ask you guys, Shelby, Ross, keep that, look it over. You can see on the second page, there's several of those that have been done, quite a few of them, have been done. There's really not a whole lot left, there to really look at and consider. But, there might be some smaller stuff. And then, depending on, how the finances come back, we may get some other opportunity in the future. So, be thinking about and looking at what the needs are in Sherwood, and where we could spend that money wisely if there is any to spend. So, okay, next then, appreciate you putting this on the agenda. I've had several people over, a period of time just to ask about four-way, or we call them all-way stops now. I appreciate the proper language here. And just, about the need, and, so just really wanted to bring that in front of this committee, in front of the experts. We've got Public Works, we have the benefit of having the chief with us, and, are those, we're not putting in any more additional all-way stops just to slow down traffic anywhere, are we?
We do not have any slated right now, and in your packet there, we put a list together, just what came to mind at Public Works of the lower volume all-way stops. I'm not saying that they should or should not be there. That's just the ones that came to mind. The street supervisor and a few people around Public Works just brainstormed of the ones we know of that seem like they're kind of low volume as far as the traffic that intersect with the thoroughfare, and just something for y'all to look at and think about.
Okay. Well, of course, the thought here is, do we really need all-way stops at some of these locations? And, Chief, not to just throw you on the spot, but is that something that you and your department have an opinion of, or, do they help? Do they hurt?
You can sit in my chair.
You want everybody here. We get in trouble.
So I would honestly yield to Brian as far, they go out and they measure those, and there's criteria that they use when they're looking at whether there should be an all-way stop or if it shouldn't be an all-way stop. I'm like you, there are intersections in the town that I pull up to and I'm thinking, man, is this necessary? My guess is that some of them are there because maybe traffic flow patterns were different at one time maybe than they are now, and whether or not we should have them or not is questionable now. But like I say, I don't get a lot of complaints about it. The officers don't complain a lot about it, so I wouldn't have any a whole lot of input on it. There are some that I would agree are questionable, but like I say, I would have to yield to Public Works on.
Okay. Well, Chief, I appreciate your input. You know, just curious, of course, you know, when people are asking about what's there, what they're typically asking for is, hey, can you take this out? And, you know, I don't know. I mean, you know, like Chief said, there's some you just kind of pull up to and you go, what the heck? You know, but, you know, I said I'd bring it up in front of this committee and just see if there's any thoughts or, anybody interested in pursuing removing any of these four-way stops, or everybody want to just leave them alone, leave them as it is?
If, you know, if it was something that the committee wanted to look at and just go out, kind of observe and drive an area and think about it, you know, of all of the ones on this list, probably the one that I notice the most that people run, because it just feels like it shouldn't be there. And, you know, in my opinion, it probably shouldn't be there. It's the one at Silver Creek and Fieldstone. You know, if you drive through there and just look at it, see how it feels, you know, probably the next one that stands out more than any of them is the one at Dovecote and Coolhurst. You know, there's probably very few times during the day that anyone would have any trouble getting out of Dovecote to turn on to Coolhurst, you know, that why you would need an all-way stop there. It's there for speed control, and then you've got the next one on down from that at Hutton and Coolhurst. But if you remove those, we would probably end up putting a speed cushion or two on Coolhurst.
Gotcha.
Now,
Okay.
this one on Silver Creek, we now have speed cushions on Silver Creek, and so I don't know that it's effective in that manner as far as controlling speed anymore.
Okay. Ross, Shelby, what do you guys think? I mean, is this something you guys even want to spend any time evaluating, or do we want to just, you know, move this off and give it no more thought?
Well, I guess it's one of those things, if we're actually getting some complaints about it, it's something we probably need to address and look at it, just to be good stewards.
Well, I mean, you know, mine are just folks calling, you know, saying, hey, you know, some are friends, and,
I got
you know, asking if anything can be done. I don't know that you guys are getting any real complaints about it, so,
I don't know that we've received any on these.
okay.
Yeah.
Then, Ross, you got any thoughts?
I mean, I do feel like it would warrant some further investigation,
Okay.
so.
So is this one of those things, you know, if our cameras are not being utilized, is this something you could put the cameras out there to kind of check out the flow and?
Well, you know,
Just to look at the
what we
counts.
use for the, you know, checking as far as if there's a speeding problem on the street, it's actually not a camera, it's a radar unit. It's measuring speed and how fast people are traveling, averaging that out, so I don't really know how.
I don't know if it counted vehicles, so you
Well,
could
it does
actually.
count vehicles, how many people go down the road, but as far as whether they're running the stop sign or, you know, I'm not sure if there's a way that it would help us with that.
Are the stop signs on Coolhurst close together or far apart? Like if we took out the Coolhurst Dovecote, for example, because we were talking about one to me is like a really obvious one.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, monitor it, use the cameras to see, now that we have a speeding problem, and then evaluate the other one on Coolhurst.
And the thing, that could work, you know, and the thing to probably do on Coolhurst would be to get a reading with a radar unit with the stop sign there, and then remove the one at Dovecote, and then get
Got
a
the
reading
technology, might as well
somewhere
utilize it.
mid-road down from it, at the same place, and just see how it changed.
Sure. Well, I mean, I don't want to get to a scenario where we end up replacing a stop sign with a speed cushion. I mean, that seems to be a waste of money.
Yeah.
Once, well, I mean, once we pull one out, I mean, if we end up going and putting it back, I mean, that kind of wishy-washy, what does that do to, do to your folks who travel the road? So, I mean, guys, I don't know what the solution is here, and I, like I said, I've just had a couple of people that hadn't even been a real big issue, but, the one on Dovecote and Coolhurst is one I hear most about. The other one that's not even on your list is from my neighbors. It's Bearskin and Willow Glen. And that little, I hear from my neighbors all the time. And, hey, why are we stopping here? And I said, just, makes you feel good, I guess. I don't know. I don't get tons of phone calls from all over the city about this, that, and another. So, if we want to, spend another month, leave this on the agenda another month, maybe take a look at, go out there and see if there's any action that, as a committee, we really want to take, or we want, to ask, be tried, then let's do that. But I don't want to spend a lot of time with this committee on worrying about that, So,
And one thing to consider removing them, if it doesn't need to be there and people aren't stopping at it because it doesn't feel like it should be there, there's a danger in that. But once you remove it for a little while, the people that were used to the protection of it, and it's not there anymore, tend to, they might roll out into oncoming traffic. If we removed it, we would probably have to put some sort of big signage, or we would put some sort of big signage there cautioning that through traffic does not stop anymore or something, leave it in place a month to try to keep that from happening, but there's
Okay.
some risk in that as well.
sure, okay. Well, then I would just ask, for committee members, Ross, Shelby, if you guys would just go take a look at a few of these, see what your thoughts are. Let's see if it warrants any further conversation.
Yep.
If it doesn't, we'll remove it from our agenda and we'll move on. If it does, we'll try to figure out a game plan. Is that fair?
Sounds good.
Okay. Then with that, any other business for the street committee tonight? I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned.
All right, let's go. Guys, I appreciate y'all being here. Thank you for the quorum. And we'll plan to meet again next month. Young man, did we do okay? Oh, my, good stuff, good stuff.